Power of Think First. Okay, Cyber Power of Tigray today. Welcome, Mr. Haylom. We are already have viewers now, and they've been waiting. I'm trying to explain that we were a little bit late for about 3 minutes. So we please accept my apologies. Mr. Haylom is, as you can see from my promotion earlier today, Mr. Haylom is the president of the Tegaru Professional Network, which is under the umbrella of the Tegaru Forum, which is a big organization. Also, there are other corporations and organizations under Tegaru Forum. I will definitely explain who Mr. Haylom Tadesse is, but since here with us today, he will explain who Haylom is. So please welcoming Mr. Haylom today for Cyber Power of Tigray. Mr. Haylom, welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Ephraim. Brother Ephraim, I'm happy to be here. I certainly appreciate you, giving me a chance to talk to you, to your audience. I'm hoping to also engage with them at some point personally. Once they learn about what we're doing, hopefully they'll be a part of the movement and a part of the organization. Yeah. So by the way of introduction, thank you for doing that. So Haylom Tadesse, and from a professional perspective, I work for an organization called Iron Mountain, and I'm a part of their global technology organization. So I'm a part of their leadership team, operating as a senior director, overseeing multiple platforms and teams. So I've been very fortunate professionally, and I've had a really good opportunity to grow. And then on a personal level, I'm somebody who have learned a lot from my mother, and one of the key things that she's taught me is that no matter where you go in life, you didn't get there alone. Somebody gave you a hand, somebody gave you knowledge, somebody helped you, somebody pulled you up, and so you also have to look at and give back. And on a personal level, the team that I'm surrounded with, and our entire team, we all have that same mindset, same heart as well, in terms of how do we give back and contribute to our broader community. And so that's why I'm a part of the Tegaru Professional Network, a part of our Northbridge Investment Group, and the forum, the Tegaru Forum North America, in terms of its all in the entire comprehensive strategies and work that they're doing. That's the reasons why I'm really involved in that. So on a personal level, I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can do for the rest of our community throughout North America.
Great, great. Thank you so much. Wow, I'm proud of your mom, and I'm proud of you, Mr. Haylom. And okay, we're gonna apologize for those who are watching us today, because we usually speak in Tigrinya, because so the channel is totally different today. We are communicating or giving this speech in English because hopefully at the end of this interview we will have Tigrinya, but since you are more comfortable speaking in English, we just want to continue talking in English.
Thank you for doing that, brother Ephraim. تعرف سمع خلي جن بإنجليش هالشني. لا بعدي كنت I don't know كنت أسان شو مثلا عملت كذا أو
اوكي كاب ዝተሰባበረ ትግርኛ ንሰምዕ ሎ ፅቢካ ማሓይሽካ ትግርኛ ክሳብ ትመፅእ ዋላ ድሓን ብእንግሊዝኛ ክንቅፅል ኢና ምክንያቱም መብዛሕትኡ ሰብ እንግሊዝኛ ስለ ዝሰምዕ okay so my next question is I know I had a couple of your colleague from NBC One and
Yeah,
from Tigray Professional Network, Mr. Danny Denver and Dr. Gurmai. I kind of know a little bit, but we didn't even mention or discuss about the entire forum. So my question is today that what is the Tegaru Forum? And then how many organizations do you have in that organization?
absolutely. So that's a great question. So when we think about how this all originated, it really came from the Tegaru North America Forum, mindset and vision, and Mr. Mulugeta and several other key leaders who have been pioneers in our communities who have sacrificed so much. Have really thought about this, which is, when we think about, Tigray in general, the population may be small, but we are very mighty. And in North America, we're spread across multiple different cities and states, and as well as in Canada. So it's really difficult to think about, where is our intellectual property? Where is our strength? Where is our knowledge base? Where are our resources? Where are the professionals? So it's difficult unless you have a concerted effort where a broader shared vision, where we have one thing, which is how do we build a strong Tigray here in North America that is prosperous? And once it is a prosperous and strong community, then we can figure out, how do we strengthen back home? And the simplest example is if you think about the different nationalities in America who thrive, so the Asian community, the Jewish community, and many others, they've done a really good job of first understanding that they have to have a collective vision and a collective effort to have a strong foundation. And that's where the vision of the forum really comes in. And it's a long-term, long-thinking vision. It's not just a 1 year, 2 year. We have to think about, in 10 years, 20 years, what kind of community, what kind of environment do we want our kids to be in, right? So if you think about your child today, and in 10 years, what kind of lifestyle do you want them to have? What kind of support system do you want them to have on many different fronts, on economics, on education, on professional development, on personal growth? And when we think about that, you have to have a unified effort to do that. And so when we learn about these other nationalities who are really thriving, we need to replicate that. And we need to do that relatively quickly. We've had, several generations here. And so the forum is thinking about how do we ensure we have a collective effort where we care about our kids, where we provide opportunities in the now for those generations, our elders who do not have the opportunity to go into different networks. So if you think about, for example, in the technology space, it's absorbing so many different jobs. And so we have to think and reinvent ourselves. In order to do that, we have to have a collective effort to do that. And so that's what the forum is really all about, is how do we ensure we have a Tigray that is strong on multiple areas so that we can have a thriving community, and we can do the same thing as the Jewish, the Chinese, and others have done, which is once you have that strong intellectual property and strength here, then imagine what we can do back home, right? And it takes a long-term thinking to be able to do that. And so that's the forum. And in terms of what kind of organizations are underneath the forum, there are multiple. One focuses on identity. If we don't know who we are and we do not have a really strong or a really good mechanism to pass that down to the next generation, it's really hard, and we're going to forget who we are. And so we have to know our true identity, and our kids are the ones who need that more than ever. So there's a committee focused on that. We have NBC, which is an investment group, and that is about putting our resources and our funding together so we can focus on real estate, so we can focus on innovation, so we can focus on technology and many different fronts as well. So the more we have that collective bargain and we shared wallet, then we have the economic power to do much greater things. So that's NBC. We also have an innovation group that is thinking about how do we continue to innovate as an as a people. We have the TPN, Tegaru Professional Network, which means how do we ensure that the youth as well as women are a part of the process. It has to be an inclusive culture that we have to build. And so we focus on, and we'll talk about this more in terms of what does TPN focuses on. That's another organization that's underneath the forum. So there are multiple committees that are focusing on economics, education, technology, innovation, focusing on our identity, And as well as, more importantly than and all this foundationally is education. We have to equip our people and our youth with as much knowledge as possible. And it has to be, pragmatic and tactically driven knowledge that they can actually leverage and use it, and not just something that sometimes can be, philosophical in nature.
Well, great. I mean, I'm always thinking about this. We've been immigrated to United States of America, Ethiopians, long, 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 long time.
Yeah,
And then, as you said, just like a king of Aksum, we're just going behind, in everything, educational, investment. We don't even have our own company that new Tigrayans, when they come new Tigrayans, they can have a job opportunity,
yeah,
a place to live, some kind of real estate in apartments,
yeah,
in other. Those, I mean, the great-minded people that they create this organization. I'm always like, have a great respect and uh, I'm so happy. I can't even explain this in a simple words that have this kind of organization. So you are one of the from. So you guys have innovation group, TPN,
yeah,
and also you say they have MBCs, and the entire group is the Tigray Forum.
yeah.
So you are the president of one of the corporation or the organization, which is Tegaru Professional Network. When did you guys start the TPN?
Yeah. That's a great question. And again, we have a really strong team within TPN. I think, of course, there are titles, but the co-chair, if you will, Mebrat, is a phenomenal leader. So we have a really strong team within TPN that's making all of this possible. So in terms of when did it start, this from a vision perspective, it really started about 3 years ago, if I remember correctly, when we were in the TCA, Tigray Community of Atlanta. And Mr. Mulugeta had several leaders, and he made sure it was diverse representation of age, gender, and etc. And we were brainstorming to think about, what are the most critical things that we need to have established for our community to thrive and to prosper. And that's where this idea of TPN came to light, which is you in different cities you have a community center that are really strong and they have some really good programs. But there are other where Tigrayans live where you don't have a community center. In areas where you may have community center, you don't have strong programming that attracts the youth and brings them under the umbrella. And so when we were thinking, how do we ensure, no matter where a Tigrayan child is, that they have the same opportunity, that they can tap into the same type of professional development resources, that they can tap into the same network and mentorship, that they can tap into the same type of identity, education or etc. And also in social and civic engagement. It's really difficult to find that, and that's where TPN came to life, which is we need to ensure that we have a network of professionals, and this could be on in any different age or range. It could be you could be in high school, you can be in middle school, you can be in college, you can be a young professional, or you can be somewhat like myself further in your career. And the best way to do that is we have to attract all of these different diverse thinking and diverse background from a Tigrayan mindset perspective, so that we can ensure that every single child, no matter what part of the states that they're in, that they get the same opportunity. And it's only possible when you have a strong, small group of individuals who are developing from a consultative perspective the right programs where we test, we iterate, we modify, and then we deploy to different parts of, um, of the country. It all started here in Atlanta, where we had we've been doing programs for several years on financial literacy, on interviewing skills, on coding programs. And so what we wanted to do is how do we replicate that? And then we moved on to, and we had a chapter started in Denver as well. And we're looking at doing something in the DC area, in Chicago, and hopefully in Seattle, in Boston. And so we have about 17 or 18 different cities where we think there's a really good opportunity to tap into that network. But that's really where it came from. is when we got together, we couldn't find a singular organization that had these different portfolios as an offering for our youth. And so that's where it really came to life. And I credit Mr. Mulugeta for having the passion, the compassion, the visionary thinking that this is required, and his mindset, and we all agree to this, which is, the forum, for example, or any of these other local communities organization, if in order for them to be sustainable, you have to have the youth engaged. And the way to do that and build this pipeline is you have to have an organization where the youth can come together and continue to develop their leadership skills as well. And so there is a forward-thinking idea of this as well. It's not just getting the TPN created and structured. It's also thinking about identifying the next group of leaders who can become the chairs and the vice chairs and the treasurers of the local communities, as well as the forum in itself.
Yeah. I was just thinking about we have multiple professions.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, how are we going to organize this and then teach for the followers or for the youth or for young Tigray Americans here? For example, yourself, you have multiple experiences in your organization. You are IT manager in some department. You are kind of on top of that. You have a lot of things to lead, like for example, the diversity advisor, and you are also the Black African Americans leader, TPN president. You have a multiple tasks, and when I think about you, for example, if some people are willing to learn from you something, how are you going to organize these things? I've seen the Atlanta presentation also. There are a lot of young people. They have a different professions. And I was thinking, if there is a doctor's profession, maybe they will have one organization and all the doctors will go through there. And if there is a nurses organization, they will have that organization is going to be under the TPN. And then if there is any sales manager or something, but can you explain to me how do you organize all the professions under TPN? What's the network? How do we communicate? How can we reach you? I'm a professional myself, and I don't even know how to engage with you. I don't even know how to sign up, how to be a member, how to be. Oh, so if you can just explain this to me, that would be perfect.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. And it's very humbling that I've received many different opportunities in life. Again, I go back to the only reason why I'm able to do what I'm doing is because somebody gave me that chance. And to your point, how do we afford others that same type of opportunity to take advantage of the network that we're developing? So to learn more about TPN, we have a website, tegarupn.com. Please visit so you can learn about the history, you can learn about some programs or upcoming programs. And there is a way to sign up through our website as well to become a member and through Member Planet. So that's how we are establishing and building this grassroots networks of different backgrounds and different professionals, and we communicate through that as well. We also have an Instagram handle, Tegaru PN. So there are, I would say, first start through the website and become a member through our website, and that's how you're going to tap into, and that's how you'll be able to reach us, or we'll be able to reach you as well. Additionally, we run programs on a regular cadence as well. And as we run these programs, the way you're going to find out about them is either through the website, or once you become a member, we will share information either through the newsletter or an ongoing information outlet as well, or also through the forum Facebook site or page. You can also learn or identify different programs that may exist there. So I would say that is how you can tap into the network. And then to your other question, which is, individuals with different backgrounds, how can they connect, with me or any of our team? By the way, our entire team has so many different backgrounds as well, and they are very experienced. For example, Dawit, who joined our organization to help lead some of our communication he's really, really strong when it comes to media, when it comes to developing, different types of videos or presentations. And he has anybody that has an appetite in the media space, somebody like him would fit. Or Dr. Tsega, who's also on our team. Individuals who are interested to go into the medical field can connect with her, or the co-chair, Mibrat, and she also has a strong background in sales or working for large corporations. So she also understands the inner workings of corporate America. And we have also one of our other leader, Aksum. She has finance background as well, and I have some finance, but she also is really strong in that field. Mehrawit also is really strong when it comes to, for nonprofits. How do you establish nonprofits? How do you ensure that they have the right information from a grant perspective, and etc. Or Mahalet, who is young and incredibly bright when it comes to understanding the collegiate process. So I would say, I think once you tap into that network, and that's just us at the leadership level, and then you have, 100, I think we're close to about 140 or 150 individuals who are a part of our network, and that's just within TPN. And then you have NBC, who has, over 300 individuals who are a part of the network. You have the forum as well. So I think what we do is, once you connect with us and you show us the desire that you want to be a part of the process, and you have questions or things that you need from a guidance perspective, we will help you find the right person, and we partner them with you. And then if it's, if you want to connect with me directly, certainly, I mean, I can, at the end of this call, I can give you my phone number. Please text me, or through our website, if you can just answer, ask a question and say, hey, I want to talk to so-and-so about this particular topic. We would be happy to have that engagement with you. And that's the only way this is going to work, Ephraim. And I'm glad you asked that question, because the only way we move forward, it's not through, a PowerPoint slide, or sometimes even through a newsletter. It is, you have to have conversations. And in this conversation, you get to learn about each other, you get to learn about yourself, and then we can come up with different paths for you to think about, depending on what career or whatever questions you may have. So to me, I love having these conversations, because to me, that's how you grow, that's how you develop, and you find a lot deeper meaning through these conversations as well.
Perfect. Our next question will be, I know you have explained a little bit part of my next question, but I wanted to have, like, step by step. The next question after this commercial will be the purpose and the vision of the TPN. What's the vision? What's the purpose? You already have explained a little bit of it, but I want you, our audience, they wanted to know about this more. So I will come back in about 30 seconds and think about it. Welcome back, Haylom. So, Cyber Power of Tigray. Today we have the best young and the future of the Tigray will be dependent on this organization. In America, I will say, because this organization, the best organization for our kids, for the new Tigrayans who are coming soon or in the future, will be a base for them to learn more, and then we can teach them. We can do a lot of stuff. You will answer those questions. But what is the purpose and what is the vision of TPN?
Absolutely. And thank you for asking that question. So when we think about TPN, without just, obviously you can go to the website and you can read about, what we have stated as a vision and what we stated as a mission. At the root of it is, unless we figure out a way to tap into individuals with different backgrounds and bring them into one centralized place, and leverage that intellectual property or that background and the resources that people have, it's really difficult for our youth to find somebody that looks like them, that can identify with them, to help them and propel them for the next part of their lives. So typically for a Tigrayan kid, I don't know how many, I'll use myself as an example. When I was growing up, there weren't a lot of Tigrayans around me, or Ethiopian for that matter as well, that I could look at and say, hey, there's a Tigrayan that made it in the IT field. Therefore, I know I can get there. Or there is one that became a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Therefore, I know I can get there because I see a path for me. Or if I was a Tigrayan girl, there's an engineer, a woman that I can identify with, or that is leading a political organization, whether it's in Congress or in Senate, or and etc. In our community, we haven't had enough diverse leaders put in front of us, and so the idea of TPN is to make sure, from a vision perspective, that our kids are able to self-identify with where they want to be and find somebody that looks like them. And then once they find somebody that looks like them, then we can connect them, connect that bridge from a mentorship perspective, and give them the guidance that they need and the path that they need in order to get to where they want to be. So that's one side of why TPN is really critical and why it's really, really important. And then others is, along the way, if we don't give them the proper guidance and equip them and empower them with the right information at the right time, meaning they need to understand what it means to be financially literate very early in their process, because we have a lot of our community now. Our parents have sacrificed everything. You've left your home, you've left your education, you've left your profession so that your child can have a better life here. And if us who have made it, if we don't take that baton now, taking that gratitude from what our parents have done and building a foundation for the next generation to come, then we've failed our parents and we've failed the generation that's coming behind us. And so when we think about is, how do we make sure that they understand the next generation, what it means to have financial literacy? How do we expose them to different opportunities that exist? Because if I look at the IT profession again in my company, there are only three Habeshas in the entire company. And this is a company of 25,000 employees. It's a global multi-billion-dollar organization. And within IT, there's only two of us, right? And so why are we not, overtaking the IT organization? Why is it that, individuals from India are able to come here and really thrive and make a ton of money, right? In just in the IT organization itself or the IT work track. So unless we expose our kids to what is available in engineering, in IT, and different various other professions, it doesn't have to be just those two in general, then it's really hard for them to dream. And so from a TPM perspective, our goal is how do we allow them to dream, but then how do we equip them with the necessary tools so that when they do make the money, when they get into that profession, they know what to do with it. Or when there is an interview opportunity for them, they know how to have that interview. They know how to dress. They know what to research. They know how to have that conversation. Or if they cannot find a job, how do we give them a network? So I'll give you an example. There are a few people now, because of this network, they've been able to tap into and get into large companies because they found somebody that works in that company, and we were able to connect them, and then they were able to pass on their resume, because most jobs are nowadays given because of who you know, not always of what you know or how many education you have. You have to know somebody within the company. And so that's why it's really important. So it's about empowering, it's about equipping, it's about giving them opportunities, but also making sure that we understand what our parents have done, and now it's on us. Like, we cannot wait for a hero. Obama used to say this all the time. We are the hero we've been waiting for. And so what we want to do is build that infrastructure for the next generation and for those who are in it today, so that they have a place where they can leverage and kind of find the right resources for them for the next level.
Wow. That's not what you know, but that's who you know is very important. Oh, okay. And then you mentioned a lot of stuff about the generation behind us, which is not only behind the generation behind us, even our generation here.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just we left behind. We're not really engaging, even though we live in the United States of America, but we not really know what's going on in America, most of us.
Yeah.
So
I, that's a
yeah, yeah.
point. So Ephraim, that's actually a really brilliant point. And I think if we can even take that one step forward as well, for our parents, it's really, to your point, it's really hard for them to navigate this complex structure that is within North America. It's really complex. And unless we also help our parents by being that bridge for their kids, whether they're young now or on their way, or they're my age or somewhere in between, to your point, and it could be even those who are our elders. We also have to help them navigate the difficulties that is. Because the reason why I think that's, I love that you brought that up, is because there's this misconception that once you come to America, then it's going to work out. You're going to do great. People don't realize once you get in here, the system is really difficult to figure out. And so I think having a network like this that can expose that and also provide the resources for our elders to be able to help navigate that. Because when I talked about earlier about financial literacy, we didn't just do it for the youth. We also did financial literacy for the community leaders and for the elders within the Atlanta community in general. And there was a lot of information that we exposed that oftentimes was not in front of them because they're so busy, they're working so hard, they don't have the time to research this. So it's on us to be able to do that on their behalf. I'm so glad that you brought that up, brother Efren. That's really important.
Well, the reason why I brought that is, to be honest with you, there's a lot of professional Tagarus. They come here and they don't even know to whom to talk to, how to apply a job. They don't even know. I mean, we don't have a resume or how to apply a job. Or so when they come, what they need first is, where can I live? Where can I eat? And,
Yeah.
and then they need like a financial independence, because when they come, they are already coming on their adult age.
Yes.
Even though they have a background, MIT or computer or nursing or doctorate, there is a lot of them that I see on the street. They drive taxi
Mm.
because from the beginning, the first 1 year or 2 years, if they don't have anyone to connect them through their profession, they start to forget everything. They start another job, and they don't wanna lose that job, whatever bad or good, and then they just give up afterwards, and then their life will be so awful. But like you said, if we know someone already, and if we are already registered, those who are coming from Tigray, and we know their background, and if we have like TPN now, they can contact one of you, and then they can have a guidance, or they can have information how to apply a job, or they can identify their but I mean, do you guys have that kind of setup? I don't know.
Yes. Yes.
What I'm asking is, this is that's what very interesting to me, that's going to help a lot of people if you do help people with the profession background as well.
Yeah. So that's a brilliant point. I know right now, so from a strategy perspective, right, we have to be careful not to take on too much. Otherwise, we're going to overburden our team, our resources, and then before you know it, it's hard for us to survive a few years out. So the way we're going about it from a, tactically, a TPN perspective is we're taking one specific topic and doing it really well and then moving on to the next. But when it comes to who we serve today, a lot of it is individuals who grew up here in the States. However, working with the forum, it is something we can collaborate with the forum and ensure that as you give us feedback and say, here's an idea. We have individuals who are incredibly bright, who have an amazing background, professionally or technical it may be, but they don't know how to leverage that. They don't know how to tap into that. And that is where we, TPN, can collaborate with the forum and take these feedback and develop programs around it. Now, we've helped, with some interview on, individuals who grew up here in the States, but for those who are coming here, I think that's where the TPN becomes that bridge with the forum and then we collaborate and build programs around it. So this is something that certainly I'll bring up to Mr. Mulugeta as a feedback, Mr. Irfan, from you, which is, how do we ensure that, the same programs that we are offering to the youth that grew up here in the States, how do we replicate that? How do we create a forum or a structure that now can be replicated to different constituents as well, especially those who have just come here? And this is something actually we're talking about and trying to figure out, how do we make sure that it is comprehensive, but through the forum, that's where that bridge comes in.
Oh, I know. It's going to be a lot of things, but what I'm trying to say is, even on the network, as long as you guys have simple, maybe some kind of guidance, how to create a resume, how to apply, or how to contact if you have any question or concern, something like maybe simple questions that might change someone's life. Hopefully about the TPN and all that, since you guys are just started, and as we go, maybe you can develop the website and the information as well.
By the way, so that is a part of so when we think about the 4 pillars that I mentioned earlier: personal and professional development, social and civic engagement, the network and the mentorship, and Decade Tigray, we have a series of programs underneath them, and we're trying to make sure we go through them one by one, use case by use case. But I like the idea of what you mentioned. This is something we can certainly put on our website. We have connections to HR professionals as well. And I like that. I think the guide that you just mentioned, that can be for anybody. It's not just for those who grew up here or for those who are just coming here. One guide, I think, can serve both audiences. So that's something that I'll take on.
Perfect. Thank you. So the next question will be, what has TPN done in while service? But I'm going to give you 30 seconds break to think about it, and we'll come back in a little bit. Welcome back, Mr.Haylom. Cyber Power of Tigray, always so humble and happy to see you and to be our honored guest today. So, what do you have done so far as a TPN president?
So I want to say, what has the team done?
Okay. Well, it's okay.
And again,
you are with me, and the organization is behind you. So
it's an impressive and powerful team. So we've done several things. A few that I mentioned earlier. When we think about Atlanta, in terms of programs that we facilitated here locally, as I mentioned, financial literacy and a few other career. We actually did a career fair as well, where we educated our youth on what are available careers today. Let's look at corporate America and break it down. HR, finance, accounting, IT, operations, sales, and etc. And we walked them through a series of programs where they were able to select a career and build a financial plan based on that career, so that they can be really smart about deciding, am I choosing the right career for the lifestyle that I want? So we've done that. We've also facilitated, now 2 years in a row, a coding program. We think it's really important to expose our kids to these different skill sets. And it has to be tangible skill sets, things that they can take and convert to a currency, through a job or through certifications. And so we did coding program. And the second year, we saw about a 40% increase in participation. The first year we did it, we had 16 girls and 14 boys, and it was a very successful program. And this year we had about 40 total individuals that participated in this. And within that program, we actually had not just coding, we did arts, we did a Tigrinya class for the kids, and this was all virtual. And so these are programs that doesn't have to be necessarily in a building. You don't need a building to do this. We have technology where now we want to expose that to larger kids and larger audience, and the participants range from middle school all the way to nearly college. And so those are some of the tactical things that we've been working on. And then I don't know if hopefully a lot of you joined the Ashenda that we ran the first ever Ashenda virtual celebration, and our women did a phenomenal job. We had great speakers. We were able to dance with each other and have a community work kind of celebration virtually without being in person, and that really brought so much joy for every single one of us, because seeing over 100 of our um, you know community elders and children joining virtually, and families in a room dancing with each other, that's really powerful. To see that we can connect with each other without being in one singular place. We've also done different speaking series through the identity committee on our heritage, what it means, what is the history of Tigray, what is the history of our language. So those are, we've had a few of that as well. We've done series on mental health to ensure that our on all ages we really understand the importance of mental health. We've done series on on COVID awareness, and Dr. Tegaru did a phenomenal job in leading that as well. And so there are multitude of programs that we've been facilitating over the let's say the past 6 months in particular, where we've really done, in my mind, a really good way of ensuring that we're connected even through this difficult times where we're having to do this doing this virtually. So we did a series on civic engagement, where we had a topic on the importance of voting, the importance of volunteerism. And I think that the more we equip and build this awareness with our youth earlier in the process, I think the stronger they're going to be, and the better and the strong foundation that they're going to have as a springboard for the future.
That's amazing, Haylom. To be honest with you, most of the youth who were born here, not only those who were born here, but even myself and others who were born in back in Tigray, we don't really know the history of Tigray at all.
Mm.
Tigray is like abroad, and there is multiple histories that we were supposed to be proud of.
Absolutely.
Even starting from your own name, Haylom.
Yes.
Haylom has a big history behind it.
Mm.
And so I'm so proud that you guys have done all this so far. And so are you telling me that you guys did a presentation about history of Tigray, starting from the king of Aksum and kingdom?
So
And, because I know the kingdom Aksum is one of the most powerful in the world.
yes. So
Maybe four of them or three of them, I don't know.
Yeah.
But so
we've done 2 series so far on
Yeah.
the history of Tigray,
yeah.
and these are all available you can go to the Facebook, or actually we're also on LinkedIn. TPN, Tegaru Professional Work, is on LinkedIn, and we've uploaded the video, and we have several strong professors who have an incredible amount of knowledge. So we've done 2 series, and this was going to be an ongoing series. Our history is long and it's very complex. And so we want to be methodical in the way that we're delivering the message. And so we're not overloading our audience with too much information. So we're doing this in small chunks and bites. And so when you go to our website or on our Facebook page or on our LinkedIn or even on our Instagram handle, you'll be able to see when is the next series coming up. We want to do this on an ongoing cadence. I believe right now it's around monthly, but we got to make sure that we continue to do this and we start to teach our history in small bites. To your point, because it's too complex to just do it in one setting.
Because we need to know about history. Tigray means, I know it's shrinking now somehow, some way. It's small, yeah. But when we talk about Tigray, it used to be as big as twice what it appears right now. Tigray was like, from all over, from east, from part of towards the Eritrea. From if you are talking about Tigray, we need to know about Tigray's history, and those people needs to know what the Aksum kingdom means.
Absolutely.
What's the oblique? The main important thing is like, where the buildings,
Yeah.
high-rise buildings were started in Aksum back in the days. And the currency, we have our own currency.
Yeah.
And we have our own calendar and alphabet.
Absolutely.
And we have, the Aksum kingdom is like, one of the most powerful kingdom in the world. So that's because I have seen a lot of young youth, Tigray Americans are ashamed because we speak a different language
Yeah.
and we eat injera. Some of them are ashamed of themselves.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Sometimes you need to know your background, you need to know your history, and this is the basic thing. And so you telling me you guys have done this and it's already been addressed, this issue?
Absolutely. 2 series so far. And we brought in professionals with a long history, professors who know this field, because it's for us, every time in the first 2 series, you're learning something different, even on the basics of just the language itself, the structure of the language, how the language was developed, the age of the language, the complexity, and how it originated. To your point, it's hard for TPN to do this because we don't know it all, or we
Oh,
know
of
very
course.
little of our
But
history.
inviting people is part of it.
Inviting
That's all.
the right leaders, and so
Facilitating, yeah.
it's been phenomenal and a great learning. And so yes, so these videos are available, and they're always very engaging. And what's interesting about those series is that it's not just the youth that's asking questions. A lot of the questions actually comes also from our elders because they're learning something different and something new for the first time. And so everybody can gain and benefit from that.
Wow, TPN. I'm so proud of this organization, and also I'm so glad that you address the depression for youth, because the COVID-19 giving information about sexual orientation,
Yeah.
especially depression. Depression is one of
Yeah.
the worst problem in America, which attacks a lot of youth people, and
Yeah.
that's why they go to multiple IVDU, IV drug use, or some kind of drug use, or depression use, and they become and the withdrawal from high school or from college, because that's a main issue. And addressing this issue and presenting this, I believe you guys have done a lot, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay.
By the way, I really want to commend the 2 leaders who have really put this identity program in place, which is Senai, who is a part of our board for TPN, as well as Dr. Zagai. They're really, really taken this and fully developed this identity program that we're facilitating.
Wow. Okay. Before we go to the next question, what's the long-term plan? I'm gonna give you a 30-second break.
Thank you. Yes.
Welcome back, Mr. Haylom Taddese. So, what's the long-term plan?
Yeah, so so it depends which one you're asking about. When we think about TPN, it's one thing. The forum, it's another, and for NBC, it's an entirely different long term as well. But let's think about
Let's talk about
Let's think about collectively.
Okay.
So the long term, I call it the 2040 vision.
24.
Which has to be, forward thinking. It has to be pragmatic. It has to be well researched, well developed. And I think the way we envision this happening is that by 2040, our goal should be how many properties have we owned as Tigrayans? How many properties have we lended to our own Tigrayans? How many businesses have we funded? What kind of bank have we opened? What kind of jobs are we creating for our people? Because what's really interesting to me as we think about, as I mentioned earlier, the different nationalities that are thriving, and we take the Asian community as an example, the dollar circulates between 30 to 60 times within the community where they're enriching each other before it goes to a different community. Why don't we have that? And our goal should be having this investment group will give us that opportunity where we are funding our own businesses, where we are creating our own jobs, where we don't have to go externally to provide job opportunities for our youth. And so that's from an NBC perspective, is having not only having financials, but also an innovation. Because if we don't catch up with the technology innovation that's taking place right now, we're going to be at loss. If you think about, for example, right now, one of the biggest professions within, let's say, the Ethiopian or Tigrayan community is taxi. But with the advancement of technology, those jobs are going to disappear. And so, how do we build jobs for our people by our own money and our own resources? So that's one side of it. The other side, from a TPN perspective, is how do we ensure that we are building the next generation of leaders? At the end of the day, that's what really TPN is designed to do. And the different programs that we're developing is creating the next generational leaders so that we can be much more engaged from a civic perspective, where now we are a part of the government institution, meaning how many Tigrayans will hold a seat in Congress if they really want to? How many Tigrayans will hold a seat in the Senate or gubernatorial roles or in the judicial system? If we don't also address that, it's really hard for us to have enough power influence. So if you look at the Jewish community as an example, they're a small group of people, small population, but they're incredibly powerful because they have an economic strength, they have a military strength, and then they have a lot of ties within the government, within North America itself. So for us, is how do we create the next generational leaders through TPN, whether it is in through the government as an example, or it is ensuring we have the next generation of CEOs. I would love to have our young women taking hold of the engineering sector. Why do we only have one Ethiopian? She's Eritrean/Ethiopian, I believe. That is a president of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. There's only one. How come we don't have 10? How come we don't have 20? And TPN should be that springboard, that foundation to create that next generation, the next generational leader. And then from a forum perspective, it's really putting all of that together, which is how do we ensure we have a strong nonprofit arm, grassroots, where we are providing free education to our people. If you think about the pillars that I mentioned earlier, having a stronghold in the government, having a stronghold in the financial sector and others, education is really, really important. And if you look at the communities that are really, really doing well, it's because they offer free SAT preparation. So if you look at Korean and Chinese Americans, they make sure that their kids are not only getting the A's and etc. from a grade perspective, but they have a really solid program on how to take a test. And when you know how to take a test, then you overtake Ivy League schools. That's why the Asian community has overtaken the Ivy League schools, whether it is in Harvard or others. And so how do we build education program for our youth through the forum or through TPN, not only from a testing perspective, but other technical training that we can provide? And that's how it comes full circle, which is, at the end of the day, we need to be economically strong and then financially fiscally responsible. We need to have our own businesses owned and created by Tigrayans. And we need to also make sure we have a strong community organization that is focusing, because we're really strong when it comes to faith. And how do we take that faith and passion and now convert that to other areas where we really have to develop further, especially on the education sector? Because to what you mentioned earlier, Mr. Ephraim, or Brother Ephraim, when you mentioned our new brothers and sisters that are coming from Tigray to America, they need a foundation that they can immediately tap into and so that they can find meaning and purpose, and not just have to think about, hey, how do I feed myself? How do I feed my children? Versus, this is what I've worked all of my life for, and I have to give up all of this education, all of this experience, because I have to just put food on the table. And we have to make sure that they come in and they enter into a system immediately, and they're able to leverage their talent, their resources, to also push us forward. So that's the over encompassing, 2040, if you will, and ensuring that we have a very strong, united is probably the most important part of this. A strong, united Little Tigray here, because if we can do that here, imagine how many millions of us will be ready to go back home and take Tigray to the next level, just like the Asian Americans have taken and leveraged all the resources that America provides it, went back home, and look at China now. Compare China to from 50 years ago versus today. It's because they took advantage of the education, they took advantage of the government institutions, they took advantage of the resources, the money that's available to them, and they went back home. Now imagine the strength that they have. Why can we not do that? And unless we build that foundation here and we become strong here, it's really difficult for us to go back home in the very complex and divided nature that we're in right now to expect us to transform even our people back home.
Um, I'm, I'm so excited right now about the conversation that you start about. When you compare things like, even though when we compare, like, Ethiopians and Somalians are totally different when it comes to economical strengths in America and the power strengths in America. I don't know if you heard, or I'm sure in Minnesota area, so Somalian
Yeah,
community,
yeah,
they have a congressman or senator or up to that kind of
yes,
stage.
yeah,
And also the economical status of the Somalian people right now, they have their own mall, like a shopping center. Not only in Minnesota, but also in Seattle. They have some places they can shop each other. They have economically they are growing in power. They are already involved, and they are already know. Even the Oromo population are better than the Tigrayan community right now because, for example, just recently in Minnesota, they have discussed with uh, the senator, to because they have people inside the Congress or in the senators area, so that way if they have some kind of discrimination or the disintegration of politically and economically, there is a disintegration that we agree with in Ethiopia. But specifically when we see in Tigray, do you think we are so behind from all this?
Um, I don't know that we're behind. I don't think we've collectively put it together. I think if you look at it individually, we do have a lot of businesses within
Okay.
North America, right? Individually, there are a lot of business owners. We have a lot of professionals. We have a lot of strong in the medical field and education field. What we have not done is put it together. I think to me that's the missing ingredient right now. We have the talent, we have the financial well-being because our people save, and so we have money. It's not that we don't have it, and we have the educational background. To your point, now how do we put it together?
Together,
And this is why these organizations are really important because even here in Atlanta, the Somalian community, they do have a shopping area here that I'm aware of. Why can we not do that? And that's where NBC is trying to develop right now, which is put our money together, and greater than $500 million have been put together so far, and we're probably going to be around 700,000 anytime soon now. And so now that we have this financial well-being, how do we now start to buy up properties? And we have people come to our community and continue to flourish within our community, right? So I think to your question, it's not that we're behind. I think we have it as individuals. We just need to connect the dots. And if we don't do that, and if we don't do that soon, then we're just going to continue this cycle. And I think what's really important right now is, for the first time, at least in my adult life and just growing up here, I haven't seen this level of energy. I haven't seen our people come and putting, their personal history or divisions that have occurred in the past so to the side to think about, what, we do have to do this together. We cannot do this alone. And that's why I think you're starting to see these organizations formed, because there is this new conscious awareness and people are just aware. They're like, yes, we have to do this. And I'll use Obama again. Yes, we can, and we can do this. It takes, a small group of people to put a strategy together, and then once that happens, you will see a grassroots of like which we haven't seen in the past, right? And I think it's been proven. And what I will like to do before we even talk about, how we've gotten here, I actually want to commend and I want to thank the community leaders that have been doing this for the past 10 years, for the past 20 years, for the past 15 years. In addition to our parents that have made a great deal of sacrifice, the community leaders that have built these community centers that exist today, they are the reason why we could do this now. They built the foundation, and now it's on us. And for those young individuals who are listening to this, it's on you, right? You need to be a part of this process. We can no longer be on the sidelines. We've had enough time to complain and point fingers. Now it's time. We got to get together. We got to be on the table together, and we have to work together, just like our parents put whatever little money they had, whatever little resources they had to build what we have today, which is really strong. Now it's on us. We have a lot more resources. We have a lot more experience within the North America. We know how to navigate the system much more now. We have, better jobs now. We are on their shoulders. Now it's on us to come together, connect the dots, and build the future that we want. Because I've seen a lot of young people complain, and I'm one of them as well. But if we want a specific future, you have to be involved in order to build it. You cannot bring a dream to life on the sideline. You have to be in the dream, and you have to participate. And so that would be my challenge, Brother Ephraim, which is we can do it. We have the resources to do it. Now it's on us to connect and move forward.
Well, so what you are telling me right now, this organization is the right organization, and we have the source, we have the skills, we need to put them all together, and then everybody needs to be involved, so that way we can be financially, politically, in all kind of strengths to have. So this organization is the right organization to be involved with all the Tagarus right now.
Absolutely. The forum, and
I love it. I love it.
There's a lot of good organizations that exist today, and one of our philosophies, and we agree at the leadership level, which is, if there's an organization that has a core competency in a certain field, we need to support that organization. We shouldn't be competing for. We should be competing for ideas, right? But not for power and resources and stuff like that. So if there are organizations that are doing really well in a specific sector, we as a people need to support that organization. We need to lift them up and give them the backing that they need as well. Mr. I just want to make sure I put that in there, because oftentimes we may want to create something new, but let's find first what exists and give them the support that they need as well.
Wow. You did explain well, and in education system, you mentioned something about how to take a test. I think that's something that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Even I've been here for a long time, and then we study hard, we go to school, but we don't know how to the time management. Maybe you are smart and you know everything, but you will have some anxiety, or you don't know what kind of even though if it is a multiple question, you have to choose the right one, but you need to know the test strategies that we have. We have a problem. We don't know about these things. So would you explain this more about how to take a test? I believe this is a big issue for all Tagarus.
Yeah.
So I want you to mention this a little bit.
Yeah. So when you think about entering into college, right, there are a few recipes that will not necessarily guarantee, but increases your chances. You have to have good grades. But if you're competing with a school that has a lot of smart people coming to it, let's say Ivy League, everybody has good grades. That's why they're going there. So how do you differentiate yourself? there are two other factors the way you can differentiate yourself. One is you have to have volunteerism. A lot of big colleges look for diversity. They want people that are also people leaders, not just book smart. And so individuals, you need to volunteer. You know, how many organizations have you volunteered for? How many hours have you volunteered for? What have you done to improve your community? That is a factor that a lot of people miss, because if the college is only going after people who have all A's, then it's really easy for them. They just look at the one with the highest GPA and they pull them in. But they have other factors. So volunteerism and engagement is really key. And the third one, of course, is testing. And so there's a lot of smart people who know how to get A's, but how well can you pass the SAT testing, as an example? And that's where I was talking about is we have to. So if one does not exist today, I recommend all of our parents that are potentially listening to this, make sure you get your kids into these standardized testing curriculums as early as possible, because that's the third factor that's going to help differentiate you from the other competitions of these Ivy League school or any college for that matter as well, because it doesn't have to be Ivy League. There's a lot of great school. I went to Penn State. It's not Ivy League, but it's a really great school as well. And so that's what I was talking about is SAT testing, for like these standardized testing that exist today for entrance exams or just those testing. We have to make sure our kids are studying and are put in program. We want to develop this. It hasn't been fully developed yet. So once it's developed, we want all of our kids to take it. But until then, make sure you get your kids into these available programs that exist near you. Don't wait until they're, you know, in 10th grade or 11th grade. They need to start in 8th grade. They need to start in 9th grade doing these prep now, because that's what's going to differentiate, you know, your child from everybody else that has A's. So those are the three factors that determine, you know, your ability or increases your chances of entering college.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Haylom. I have in this matter, I need to focus myself, and I need maybe the next question will be, what's the main focus? I know you told me by 2040 there are multiple strategies that we need to achieve, but I would say maybe the short-term goal or the focus. What is it? Before we go that, I'm going to give you a 30-second break.
Okay.
Welcome back, Mr. Haylom Taddese, TPN President. We are so humble and happy to have you today. And so far, we have explained a lot of important messages to our community. And I've seen a lot of comments and likes, and love is like, you know, thrown on you. Thank you so much. And so my next question is, just give us some kind of focus on this thing, to focus on the maybe the next few years, or instead of like, you know, we have the broad idea now
Yep.
up to 2040, but what's the main focus right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we think about the main focus, again, it's going to be different based upon the forum, the investment group, and TPN. For TPN specifically, our main focus is one, building this network. We need to have as many professionals as possible into this network, because we are getting a lot of young individuals who are asking, hey, I want to be a doctor, but I want to be a specific type of doctor. And unless we have our professionals in the network, it's really hard for us to connect them. So that's our, you know, number one priority right now, is developing this network of professionals. And we have, again, as I mentioned earlier, about 140 or 150 right now. And then secondarily, immediately, we're developing programs, specific, tactical, tangible programs for our youth on the professional and personal development side of front, which is, whether it's technical or whether it is, on personal development as an individual. So, for example, one of the things that our co-chair Mibrat is working through right now, which is how do we empower our youth to be professional leaders on meeting management, on hosting a meeting, on communication skills. So those are the kind of immediate things that we're working through right now, as well as the different programs that we are hosting. And then, focusing on our language and our identity is another factor that TPN is focusing on from a short-term perspective. And then lastly is on the civic engagement is we want to make sure that our people are involved in the voting process. We think it's really important. If you want the country to operate a certain way, you have to participate, and voting is one of those. So those are really our four key pillars that TPN is focusing on. Whereas NBC is focusing on number one right now, which is buying property. That's our number one focus. If we don't have land and we don't have property, then it becomes really difficult for us to create jobs for ourselves and allow the money to flourish and grow, while we're focusing on the innovation front as well. And then 5 years down the road, banking is one of the biggest things that we want to focus on as well. And then the forum just has multiple committees that is made up of these different focus areas. In particular, the identity committee that I mentioned earlier, the innovation, NBC, and TPN, and a few others. So for us, that's really it. And lastly, my focus for me personally, right, not from a TPN perspective, but just me personally. For me, it's really, and I guess this is a shared value as well, is we really need to make sure that the youth and women are engaged. Again, I want to make sure I iterate that. All these, current communities that exist today were created by our elders, and most of them were men. That's just, and for the life of me, I don't know exactly why. But we need to make sure that the youth is participating, and we need to empower our women. A lot of the work is done by our women, but we don't give them the same level of leadership. And so to me, those are the two things that I want to focus on immediately is how do we get the youth to be a part of the process, and how do we ensure that our women are represented and are given, the leadership and the respect that they deserve because they do all the hard work anyway.
Great. I'm gonna ask you one thing. I mean, I know you guys are so busy. You guys done a lot of stuff, but the outreach. For example, I live in Washington State. Washington State, we barely heard what you guys are doing. I know you guys had in 2019, you guys have a big forum in Colorado, in Atlanta, Georgia, and recently the agenda in Colorado as well, virtual and a lot of stuff. I've seen that. But when it comes to the organization spreading out to all the states, because there are a lot of Tegaru people that they don't know about you yet.
Yes.
In Washington State, in Dallas, in even in Canada, you name it, a lot of states here. So why are you guys keeping it within Atlanta, Georgia, and Colorado only? Or do you guys have already branch?
Yeah, so that's a great point. And we have to tactically grow to ensure that we are doing it the right way. We are of the philosophy that if you want to go far, you have to travel together, right? And so in order for us to ensure that we're doing this the right way and we're doing this together, we have to be very tactical. And we have reached out to other areas. So Chicago, we've connected with our leadership, the youth leadership there, and we connect on a regular basis as well. We have the network in Boston that we're building out. We have we're trying to build up in Dallas and in Houston as well. We're starting to connect in DC. So for us, and Sendai has done a phenomenal job with this, which is working with local communities, identifying the right leaders, and connecting. We're not going to be able to connect with everybody at the same time, but there are at least 7 or so different local communities that we're connecting with to ensure that we're establishing programs, that we're establishing the appropriate network. So we'll get to you as soon as possible. But now that you've heard about it, please connect with us so that you can be a part of the Tegaru Professional Network, and we can start to collaborate and build programs together. We've also connected with leaders and youth individuals up in Europe as well. So we're not just focusing. Yes, our audience primarily is here in the States, but there were young Tegaru leaders in the UK that were interested about, how did you do this? What is the right framework? What kind of programs are you facilitating? And we were able to collaborate with them and give them shared resources so that they can take on what we've done and duplicate there as well. So our goal is to connect with as every single state, every single city that a Tigrayan kid or Tigrayan community exists, and try to connect. But we're not going to be able to do it all at once. We have to do it as we identify the leaders. So, Mr. Ephraim, if you know individuals that we should be connecting with, we would love to have that conversation, and talk to them and kind of figure out, one, is there a community that exists there? If not, then let's help establish a chapter, a TPN chapter in your location or near you.
Of course, yeah, we do have a community here, but do you guys have special criteria that before you create TPN chapter in Seattle,
Yeah.
do you have to have the Tegaru Forum chapter first, or
Yeah, that's
I
a
mean,
great question.
yeah,
So we do have a format. We have bylaws that we adhere to, and we don't want to establish any local chapter without the consent, without the connection with the local communities there. And typically, most of the local communities are connected to the forum. So our goal is you have to be connected to local communities, and we have to partner with the local community leadership team to ensure that there's alignment, because the local communities may already have a professional network of their youth that they've created there, or they may have programs for their youth. And so the way we go about it is, if you don't have one, we will help establish one through the TPN chapter. But if you do have a professional group with your local community or network or local community organization, then we want to partner together. And we can have a partnership where you can leverage and we can become more consultative and share what programs worked. We tested a lot of things. What worked and why did it work? And how should you go and establish it? And so for us, it's really, we need to collaborate. This cannot be like a mandate to say, you have to have a TPN chapter. No, it's not going to work like that. It has to be a partnership, and connecting with the local leadership is the only way that's going to work.
great. Well, I appreciate it. I think I'm sure we have Tigray community in most of the states, and I'm sure some of them have been already participate in that forum meeting in
Correct.
Colorado and Atlanta,
Yep.
Georgia. But I don't know why they did not create the chapter in other, since this organization is a great organization. Is it?
So we're just starting, that's why, right? And we need to connect with them. Once we connect with them, then we will be able to certainly establish it. Absolutely.
Great. Okay, our last question is, before we go to our last question, we'll have a few seconds break, but it's going to be, how does, or how do you connect all those organizations with the main forum, like
Yeah.
the TPN, the innovation, the NBCs, all kind.
Okay.
So what's the tie? How do you connect each other? So I will write back with you in about a few seconds after this commercial. Welcome back again, Mr. Haylom Taddese. Thank you so much for being with us today, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm already kind of ready to start investment with your organization as soon as I can't wait to to wake up early in the morning and then find out the TPN website in the morning.
That's awesome.
All right. So how do you guys tie, or what's the connection? I mean, I know there is an organization, there is branch, but it's going to be, it seems like there is a lot going on, and you already have one big organization. But I'm just trying to see how do you connect each other, and how far are you guys going? Are you guys already limited to United States of America, or can you guys go a little bit farther back to Tigray too also?
Very good. Let me answer the second question first, so I don't forget.
Okay.
So our primary focus is ensuring that we are strong here first. And once we are really strong here, then we can be much stronger, or we can provide a lot more output to our people back home in Tigray. So we have to make sure that we do this right first. So
What
primary
what
focus is here. However, we
uh
will support, right? Our goal is to ensure when needed, we will. I was always like the example I mentioned earlier, the team in the UK that was interested in this, and I've had an opportunity to talk to various community leaders across the world, and we've shared this vision and mission. So we are going to collaborate and talk with each other, and so it's ensure that we're strong here, and then we can go back home in a much stronger standpoint. So yes, so we will partner and we will help our people in whatever capacity that we're able to. And in terms of your first question, how do we connect all of this? So each of the committees that exist, such as TPN and others, we all serve also as board members of the forum. And that's how we ensure we have ongoing cadence in communication. So for example, there are two of us from TPN that serve as board members for the forum, and to ensure that we are collaborating, we're communicating constantly. And we also talk to each other on a regular cadence. So the board from the forum and TPN board leaders, we meet once a month, and we connect with each other to talk about status, to talk about how our programs operating, and we do our quarterly report out. And unless we have that communication, and we are also serving on each other boards, it's really hard to bridge the differences, or even to ensure that we're aligned on where we're going. And so that's how today we ensure that we're all very connected, and we're working towards a common goal, is ensuring that we have representation from a board perspective on each other's respective teams.
Amazing. Great. Okay. It was a great pleasure to have you, Mr. Haylom Taddasa, today. Before we ended up our conversation, maybe I have mentioned some of or ask you some of the main questions that I think about your organization. But I know already I may have missed some of important stuff. If you may have any addition that you wanted to relay your message to our audience. There is a lot of people watching you right now. So please, I will give you about 2 minutes or three. Before that, I want you to think about it and get ready to explain more. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. So it's your own time now. No question for me. You're not gonna expect any question
So
from me.
yeah, absolutely. So brother, I really want to thank you for this opportunity, and the audience. I want to thank you for participating and for listening in, and we are all looking forward to connecting with you as well. So I think the one message that I want to keep is, because you can find a lot of the information about TPN and the forum in our respective website, which is, we really have this one in the life opportunity for all of us to connect with each other. And growing up here, what I've heard and what I've also read and received feedback on is there is a bridge between our elders, our community leaders, our women, and the youth in general. And for the first time, God has actually really blessed us with an opportunity where we are now able to work with each other, that we can work our differences. And so my message to the audience and to anybody is, we really want to take advantage of this opportunity, and we should take advantage of this opportunity that rarely comes. I haven't seen this kind of energy, and I haven't seen this level of engagement. And even through the difficulties of COVID and having to do this virtually, we are even more connected than we've ever been, whether we were in person or not. So I really encourage you all to participate, to be a part of the network, to provide your ideas and your thoughts, to come and give back to your community if you have benefited from it, or come and receive from what we are building together if you are somebody that needs guidance and direction in some areas. And so I really hope that we take advantage of this moment where we can now create a powerful movement that will propel us to the future, where we become strong as from an educational front, where we can become strong financially, where we can now own our destiny, and we can build a future for for our next generation, our youth, as well as for those who are struggling today, give them a place of safety, so that we don't have to rely on handouts from external resources. We have the ability to build our own here, and then we become strong and we can go back home to Tigray and create the historical strength that Tigray has always had. Tigray was the center of universe at one point in history. It was strong and it was mighty regardless of its size. And we have that opportunity to do that now. So I really encourage you all to come and participate. And I also want to thank our team. This is also possible because Mr. Mulugeta and all of the community leaders that have given us this foundation. I want to thank you all for all of your sacrifices. And for our TPN leadership team, Mibrat, thank you for everything you've been doing. You've exhausted yourself for this. Senai, you've done a phenomenal job in bringing us together and expanding our network. Aksum really holding us together. Um, and Dr. Zagat, being a part of the foundation and starting it here in Atlanta with us as well. I really want to thank you for everything that you're doing, in addition to all the responsibilities that you have. And our newest leaders, Dawit, Mahalit, Harawit, thank you so much for everything that you are doing to ensure that our next generation can benefit from what's right in front of us today. And Brother Ephraim, I really want to thank you as well for this chance. And I'm really looking forward to connecting with my people in Seattle and doing something phenomenal.
Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure to have you today, Mr. Haylom Taddasa. And I cannot wait your board members to be one of my guests in the next future soon, because there are a lot of people are thirsty to get more information from you guys. You have done a lot so far, and you guys have a great plan, and you guys are great minded. You guys are our future Tigray that we wanted to see in America. And I just want to say thank you for being with me, and please relay my message to your board member to come to visit me anytime soon, so that way they can uh, relay and engage with our community. Hopefully, you guys you can come to our state and, like you said, start your own chapter here.
Yes.
I had an opportunity to talk to Danny Denver, who is a great person, and also Dr. Gurmai, and you. Hopefully, I will have Mr. Mulgeta sometime soon. So today it was a great discussion. And at the same time, I wanted to say Palama Entertainment for creating the Cyber Power of Tigray intro for me, and also all the audiences. Thank you so much, and have a good night.
Thank you. Be blessed.